Hello, book connectors and music lovers as well. Welcome back to either or both channels. I am your host, Blue Eyed Black Devil, host of the Book Connection, and Ms. Music, host of the Ms. Music channel. Both can be found here on YouTube. Okay, I don't know how long this video is going to be, but my plan is not to hold you off for long. I just wanted to come on here and tell you guys I thoroughly enjoyed all of the feedback that I received from both the book connection video I posted yesterday, which was The Family Tree by Barbara Delinsky. And then over on Ms. Music channel, I posted the video about some of my favorite artists, and why I, felt like most of the songs that I did mention in that video were never released as singles. One or two were released, but they didn't fare as well. And you will see me do more of those type videos. I feel like I can touch on more of my artists that way instead of just spending all of my time on one. But all of them are worthy to be mentioned, if you ask me. And that was just fun. It was really fun. So why was I so happy about these particular videos? Because they did exactly what I hoped they would do. The music was fun because, yes, I listed what I said, but I got a little more insight or feedback from you all when you posted your songs. I already know this weekend I will be listening to an Eric Clapton album. And before I saw that, Caitlin, I knew, okay, you talking about you may be dating yourself. I know I'm dating mine because I can remember when Layla was out back in the 70s. I don't know exactly specifically what year or the title of the album that it was on, but I do know I liked Layla. I liked the 70s version, and then I liked it again in the 90s when he remade it and re-released it. I love both of those. But now, there is a song he had out. Okay, why the two different labels? I liked them because the original one was, you could tell he was just full on rock. And he's British. And a lot of British people love the American blues, and you can hear it in a lot of their music. But that first Layla, like I said, it was just full on blast, Layla. And then the next one, the one that was released in the 90s, it was more of a subdued version of the same song. And if I just didn't know any better, I would have thought that the second Layla, that was the first time it had ever been recorded. I love both of them. But now, can somebody help me? I don't know the name of one song by him. I just know some of the lyrics are, I can get off on a 57 Chevy. I can get off on a screaming guitar. I like the way it gets me every time it hits me. I can get off. If anybody knows the name of that song, will you please feel free to tell me? I just love that song. I won't look for it on YouTube because that's a little bit too much to be typing in. Oh, and then someone said that they like Tyrone Davis and their favorite was Mom's Apple Pie. And for me, it's a toss-up between Mom's Apple Pie and If I Could Turn Back the Hands of Time. I like some of Tyrone Davis. I read it too, but whoever it was, that said that they like Bobby Womack. Now, if I ain't going to bed, I would promise you I thought that was my husband. I know, day in and day out for 5 consecutive months. I heard no less than 8 Bobby Womack tracks every day of the week. That's 7 out of 7. That's not 5 work days. I asked him if he was going through something. I promise you. But the songs that I listed, I love, and that was just a few of them. But, Bobby Womack also had some great duet partners. He had one, I'm not really sure. I think, okay, Love Has Finally Come at Last. He duetted with the lady, now I want to say her name is Althea. Forgive me for not knowing her last name, but I think her first name was Althea. I remember that being her first name because for the longest I kept wanting to call her Albertina Walker, but she's the gospel artist. And I know Bobby Womack started out in gospel, but, he eventually came over. And then he also had a beautiful ballad with Patti LaBelle. I can't think of the name of that, but I love those songs. And then the very first song I can actually remember loving, it was Bobby Womack, but it was him and his brothers, and that was called I'm Looking for Love. I think, because I had the 45, it was listed under the Valentino brothers. I think that was the name they used. They grew up in the church and stuff, and in the black community, if you are of a particular age, you just didn't listen to music unless it was gospel. So they grew up in the church and whatnot, and so they had to slip and record that song without their parents knowing it was them. So that's why they didn't go as the Womack brothers. But then what was the other one somebody mentioned? Johnny Taylor, J.T. Johnny Taylor, J.T. I saw him in concert 1 year to the day before he died. And usually when they get older, although he was only 63 when he died, which is still young to me, but usually when you have been out as long as Johnny Taylor had been out by the time I saw him for the first time, they just don't sound like they did in their younger years. But when I tell you, please trust, believe, and understand me when I say, if I just didn't know that the band was a live band and you could actually hear Johnny, because I can hear the track over, or, you can hear when the live version is being placed over overlays, try as they might, sometimes you can still hear it. Johnny Taylor was hitting every freaking note. He held notes. He just hold on to notes. He did that, and his band was just spot on. I don't know if any of those people have gone on to join other bands or not. If they did, those bands are really blessed. I'm telling you, Johnny Taylor put on a show that my children, I was going with my youngest when she's only 18, but if she had seen Johnny Taylor, she would have enjoyed it, probably because she has heard us play it, but she would, because she can go to rap concerts, and I don't even think they try to hide that they are rapping along to their own recorded voices. But anyway, yes, I think I named most of the songs, but he had a lot that I didn't name that I like also. Like, it's one song my husband plays a lot. I'll have to ask him. I think it's wrong. Was it made or built in a day? Something like that. That's nice. Ooh, wee. Just because. And I did not realize until I saw the movie Ray. I'd always only heard Johnny Taylor's version of Drowning My Own Tears. So naturally, I thought he was the one that recorded it. So it was a pleasant surprise. Although, let me just go ahead and state this for the record. Ray Charles was never one of my favorite singers. Now, as an adult, I like one or two of them. Well, I just might as well name them because it's just that few. I loved his duet he did with Billy Joel called My Baby Grand. If you haven't heard it, check it out. I love it. And then Ray Charles was Billy Joel's favorite artist. And he talked a little bit about how it meant so much to him to be able to record that duet with Ray Charles because they knew in the industry that he was sick. He wasn't doing well at all. And he was surprised that Ray had agreed to perform and record that song. So it was special to him, and I love Billy Joel, so that meant a lot to me that they were, and it sounds really good. It really does. I honestly wouldn't have known Ray was as sick as he was just because his oh, Lord, please forgive y'all, but Ray Charles never did sound like a young man. In other words, he always did sound older than he was. And by the time we get to My Baby Grand, he sounded like that's where he had been all his life. He had finally come home to roost. Now, I love his rendition of America. I love it. It's bluesy, it's soulful, it's everything. And then it's got to be another one of Ray Charles' songs I like, but as a kid, he just wasn't my favorite. And I believe it was because his music sounded so dated. Okay, so like I said, that video was very fun. If anybody's seeing this video and perhaps you didn't go back and look at that one, go back and look at it and feel free to add a comment or whatever, because that was fun. All right, now on to the book Connections Family Tree by Barbara Delinsky. Like I said, both of these videos did exactly what I wanted them to do because I had a few comments and I started 3 or 4 times trying to respond, and I was like, no, I just have too much to say. I might as well do it in video. So that's where I am on this particular one. I think my cut buddy, was that G-Win? Said something about, basically, he and Caitlin both pretty much said the same thing, which is family isn't necessarily always going to be blood. And sometimes that really is the case. And G. Wynn was saying something about, nobody can really try to tell anyone who they should love or why they should or should not love said person. And I agree. And somebody else, I hope you all aren't offended if I mention your names, but because you can still see each other's comments. And I think it was Katie that said something about her family didn't care for her husband in particular, but to her, he treats her very well. There's nothing she feels he, wouldn't do for her. And That's what matters to me. Now, I am unfortunately not one of these people who can just love just my husband. My family can do things for me that my husband cannot, and vice versa. And if he is okay with not, have anything to do with his family, I would hate it because I love his family, especially his mom. I just talked to her earlier. But him not having anything to do with his family, if that were the case, I see where that would cause some tension between us because his family had never done anything to me. So I wouldn't understand why he, wouldn't. Now, if he feels like my family has done something to him, even if I don't feel that way, okay, that's you. Then you're not having nothing else to do with that family. You don't. But what you won't do is stop me from being with my family until I can see something that until a person shows me who they are, then I usually just go on. I'm a pretty intuitive person. I'm a pretty reasonable person. I do have a tendency to see the glass half full as opposed to it always being half empty. But I have been told this, and I know for myself it's the truth. No man can go it alone. If one man could, the rest of us wouldn't be here. And I just don't know that I could go it alone. And I don't even try to. But that's what that is. Family is where you find your inner peace, be it your significant other or your spouse. You may have children, you may not. And you do have some friends who treat you, I've seen it, where they do treat you better than their families treat them, or whatever the case may be. It's almost like a case-by-case thing. But like I just said, though, I really believe that no man could go it alone. If he could, the rest of us wouldn't be here. And if it is so bad, maybe you don't need to be together, no matter, even if you do love each other. Some hurdles you just can't cross. So I agree for the most part with everything people said, especially G-Win. And everybody, I guess, and then all marriages go through trouble. You can't just run and tell everything to family or friends. But then you got people like my husband who's just going to keep it to himself, not even to me sometimes. And that's not good either. You just got to find a sounding board. And then if it's meant to be, it will be. It's just another hurdle you'll have to cross. Pick your battles. And I'll be married 20 years in May. So as a whole, we must be doing something right. And I guess this is going to wrap this video up. Once again, I am going to put this on my other channel as well. So if you see it on one channel, or if you think about it and you realize you haven't seen it, just go and it'll be on both channels. And I suppose I will wrap this up for Wednesday. I cannot believe it. 3 videos in as many days. Me, I'm trying to act on this momentum that I have going for as long as it will, because I do have a tendency of disappearing. And it's not like I just go through stuff. I just, for whatever reason, just don't never go out here. But I'm trying to get a little bit about staying engaged with you all here on YouTube. It feels good. You just chit-chat. and go right on with life. All right, subscribers, thank you so very much for being subscribed. Visitors, feel free to join us. You know we'd love to have you over here with all of the shenanigans we get into. And then, by all means, please do not forget to like, share, comment respectfully, and make sure your notification bells are not only turned on but set to all so you'll know every time I upload a video. And now, book connectors and music connoisseurs as well. Yes, I'm going to change it from the music channel or whatever. It's just going to be music connoisseurs. That's what I'm going to call my subbies over there. Okay, so as long as there is something to read and rock out to, there is always going to be something to brings us some sort of peace at the end of the day. Yeah, there's always something to read as long as there are books around, and music will always keep us moving and a grooving. And until we meet again, book connectors and music connoisseurs, be safe out there. Have a blessed night. Bye for now, and God bless.